Hi, then we're back. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how it is to buy apartment here in Vietnam and what you need to kind of be aware of. So I'm going to start very simple. It's foreigners can buy apartment in Vietnam. Uh, Buildings are they have this foreign quota. So an apartment building with a foreign quota, you need to check when you want to buy that the building actually have a foreign quota, and the foreign quota is 30% of the units in that building. So if an apartment building have like 100 apartments, 30 of those apartments can be bought by foreigners, and 70% is reserved for Vietnamese. So that is like the first thing you need to know about buying here. Number two is when a foreigner buy apartment here in their own name, then you have a lease time. That means you can own the apartment for 50 years, 50 years. Um, so basically, you can buy an apartment, you own it, and can live there for 50 years. If you want to sell that apartment and you sell that, let's say you bought the apartment, you live there, and after maybe 7 years, you sell that apartment. So you sell it to another foreigner. Let's just call him Bob. So after 7 years, you sell your apartment and you sell it to Bob. But the thing is, then Bob, he do not, and I mean not, he do not get 50 years lease. He only get the remaining 43 years because you already live there and had the apartment for 7 years. That means it only 43 years left of that lease. The lease start when the first, what should I say, foreigner buy an apartment. And even if another foreigner buy it, it doesn't change. So the lease will keep running those 50 years. Let's say then Bob live there, he buy it, have 43 years left of the lease. He live there for, let's say, 10 years, and then he sell it to Jenny. Then Jenny actually only get she only got 33 years lease time. So and that's how it works in Vietnam, and this is something you really need to know about. And for me personally, if I should buy an apartment like that, my logical thinking and financial thinking is if I can get a 50-year lease, the apartment would be worth more money. If I get like a 33 or 30-year lease, the apartment is worth less money. So I keep that in mind and use that as as a reason for drop the price. That's what I say. So that is one thing. Now, when it comes to selling the apartment, so let's say you are a foreigner, you have an apartment, and you want to sell it. And here, then you can sell it mostly, I would say mostly to other foreigners. There is, however, a law, and I'm going to go through that. I saw it on a law firm here in Vietnam. So, and that was in that law. Yeah, they put it out. This page is from 14 September 24. So it's very recent, and I believe this is the current law today. So it basically say the Vietnamese government allow foreigners to sell their properties to Vietnamese citizens under specific conditions. Now, one of these conditions is standing out: purpose of sale. The sale must not be for the purpose of making a profit. How does that work? I don't know. Let's say you buy this apartment in Vietnam. You pay, now I'm just going to use easy numbers, so do not do not get caught up in the numbers. They are hypothetical. So let's say you buy an apartment for 200 US dollars, 200,000 US dollars. So that is now in 2024, right? And then you live in that apartment for, let's say, 7 years. After 7 years, the prices go up, right? You make money. The market price is higher. Maybe after 7 years, that could be 300,000. I just use this number to make it very easy. Now, to sell that apartment with not making a profit to a Vietnamese, does that mean after 7 years you have to sell for the price you bought it at, which is 200,000? Or does it mean that you have to sell it for the current market price, like 7 years ahead in time, for 300,000? That means you cannot hold on and try to get more money. I really don't know what it means and how it's supposed to work. But that is what it say. I mean, that is what the government say, and that is the law. How it's going to be, I don't know. But there are limitations by law when you try to sell to a Vietnamese citizen. So as a foreigner, you need to know if you want to sell the apartment, you have a smaller market, you have a smaller segment in the market, because you can only sell to the other foreigners. So you know that is basically the best advice and easiest. And many here, they think of foreigners as American, Canadian, European, Australian, New Zealand. But actually here in Vietnam, there are many foreigners from Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia. And they also buy properties and apartments and stuff here. So it also all the Asian foreigners as well. They are the same as American and European foreigners. So that's the segment you have. But a Vietnamese citizen, I would not try to sell to them if I owned as a foreigner. So that is a little about the sale process here. That said, when you buy as a foreigner an apartment here and you buy it in your name, you need to know you pay, I think it's, I'm not sure here. I don't know about percent or how much, but you pay a little for an apartment than a Vietnamese would. So you, and that has to do with you need to go to extra offices, you need extra papers and documents and so on. So you do pay a little more when you buy, and also there is a longer process when you sell. So it also costs a little more for a foreigner to sell. Now, let's say you bought this apartment, you lived there for a while, you got to sell it to Bob, another foreigner, and you made money, and you're happy, everything good. Yay, I got sold, I got the money. Now I'm moving out of Vietnam or something. I'm going to take my money back to the bank in my home country. Now, that one too is a little fluffy, because yes, you can get the money out, but it's not easy. It's time consuming. You need the whole paper trail, where you got the money from, your paychecks, if you inherited money, if you have savings. You need to show the bank and prove that you had this money when you bought the apartment, that it's your money, you got it in a legal way, and stuff, that is legal and clean money. So when you proved all that, and that take a little time, a lot of papers and so on, when that done and the bank approved, then you can transfer your money out to your home country. But if you don't have all the documents, if you cannot prove everything, you basically don't get the money out. So that is very important to know about. So that is what I basically want people to know. If you want to buy an apartment here in Vietnam, you need to know these things. Now, when I said that, I own an apartment, and many think I'm stupid and I'm thick in the head, and yes, maybe I am. But I bought the apartment, well, very easy. I stayed away from the whole process. I stayed away from everything. My wife handled it, and my wife's name is on the paper. My name is not on the paper or anything. In Vietnam, I don't own absolutely anything. I don't even own a nail in the wall. I am solely here as a poor European guy, and I have nothing, and everything is in my wife's name. House, motorbikes, everything. I don't own anything, and I'm like here under her wings, if you want. Of course, the reality is that I did transfer money from my home country and I paid for it, but we did it like that because it's easier. It's cheaper to buy. We had less paper trail, less offices to go to. We saved money. We got the apartment cheaper. Number two, we have all the option if we one day want to sell. We can sell to Vietnamese and get the highest price, no problem, because she's a Vietnamese and she don't have any limitations because my name is not on any paper. And of course we can sell to foreigners as well, because this building have a foreign quota, and we can sell to foreigners and to Vietnamese. So we have all the options. Plus when we sell, it also less papers, less cost, because she's Vietnamese. So we took advantage of her being Vietnamese. And many think, oh yeah, but now she can flip you over and take your money and this and that. Well, it's not easy. First of all, we have a contract through a lawyer stating we own this percent and that percent of the apartment and the bikes and so on. So that one, and that document is approved and stuff and legally binding, and on top of that, there is a law in Vietnam stating that if you are married, even my name is not on anything here. My wife cannot sell this apartment without me signing on it. I have to sign. She's not allowed to sell this apartment because they look, oh, you're married, then your husband need to. I cannot go home to Europe and sit there and I cannot sign electronically. I have to be present in Vietnam, and I have to go to the office myself in person, and I have to show them my ID, my passport, and so on, and then I have to sign and get it stamped and approved by the government office. So there is no way for her to flip me over. She basically are tied up on her hands and her feet, because we not only have a contract through lawyers, but the Vietnamese law is how it is as well. So there's nothing she can do. She cannot flip me over. She don't have any chance or possibility of that. So that I would say, you know, I know other foreigners buy here as well, and they too put the money. They too put the apartment in the wife's name. Now there is a big difference. If you put the apartment in the wife's name only, then you have all the options and it follow the Vietnamese and stuff. As soon as your name is on there and your wife, so you have both names, then you get a little longer process and it's more expensive, and it's not the same. And then you need to look at these, how it is for a foreigner to own in Vietnam again, instead of the usual and easy when only a Vietnamese wife own it. So yeah, I chose that. I chose that route, and I'm very pleased with my choices, and I know other people do the same choices that I do, and some not. And then you have the other gang that say you should rent. It's much better to rent. Yeah, if you're here for a short time, of course you rent. But if you are here for like you're planning on living in Vietnam for 10 to 20 years, you should really consider buying. If you rent here for 15, 20 years, what you actually pay in rent every month after 15 years, that comes to an amount where you can actually buy a small apartment yourself without any mortgage. So you need to know that renting is expensive, and by renting you actually just pay the loan of somebody else, because in most cases a Vietnamese buy an apartment and they have a mortgage on it, and then they rent it out. You sit and rent, and that rent money go to pay that Vietnamese person's mortgage. And you basically get more poor. You by renting, and you pay maybe 20 million, which is approximately the currency is up and down, but it closed to $1,000. So it's like maybe $800 or something. It changes all the time, but something like that. So around, yeah, ish $800, $750, $800 a month. And you know, if you pay about that, $750 to $1,000 a month, or maybe even more for a bigger apartment, it could be $1,300 a month, and you pay that to a Vietnamese. Of course, they pay down the loans and they get more wealthy, and soon they own the apartment without, and they have no mortgage, right? Because you paid it down for them. But then you pay that much. If you then have to move back to your own country, unless you have a job here that pay extremely good, you wouldn't be able or to afford to buy a house or apartment in your home country. So you need to think about that. And I would say rent basically it makes you a pay pig for your landlord. So you're a pay pig, and that's why I bought. I don't want to be a pay pig. I don't want to give my money to somebody else. Why should I? I prefer to own. But if I stayed here for only 1 year, yes, of course I would rent. I would find a cheaper place, maybe not a luxury apartment, but a cheaper apartment, and just try to not spend too much money. So yeah, that's it. But yeah, if you buy, you really need to think about these 4 points that I mentioned. So be aware. I'm just gonna wrap it up here. So 30% in each apartment building. If an apartment building have a foreign quota, the foreign quota is 30% of the number of units. So where I live, there are 430 units, and that means 129 is 30%. So foreigners can own 129 units here, and the rest can only be owned by Vietnamese. The lease time is 50 years. So you have 50 years. When you buy, that's the lease time you can own it for, and that lease time is given to the first buyer. So if you sell to somebody else, and they get 50 years minus the years you have lived there. So that is important to know. And secondly, when you sell, by the Vietnamese law, they open for the possibility of selling to Vietnamese, but as stated, that is you cannot sell with the intent of making money, making a profit. So with the purpose of making a profit. So basically, how that is going to be played out and what it actually means and stuff, I really don't know. And the last one is like how to get the money out of the country. Once you sold your apartment, how do you get the money out? You need everything of papers, bank receipts, and so on. You need to show the bank here, and you need to have everything in order to get your money out of Vietnam. So that is the most important things you need to know if you consider investing or buying an apartment in Vietnam. That's it for today, and remember to subscribe and like, and we see you again next time. Have a good one. Bye bye.